How we doing today? First things first, let's do a mic check in the chat. Sorry about that. I had some things in the back end here. But we're here, guys, because today we're gonna be having some pretty important conversations. Okay, really not even conversations. Today we're going to be doing work. Okay, and then we're going to have a conversation. And today I'm actually kind of excited because we are going to be talking about programming, particularly getting started with programming. Okay, so that's going to be the first half of the show, and then the second half of this show we're also going to start getting into a little bit about the soul of this channel, which is some political stuff, because I don't know if you guys don't know what's happening in the news right now, but Boston University really just accidentally released a study saying that yeah, we probably manufactured a new variant of the C-19 virus, and this one is 80% stronger than the one that we started the pandemic with. So yes, Bill Gates is working really hard to make sure that those Pfizer and vaccine dollars are being put to good use. So we're going to talk about that because that's very important. But first, let's go ahead and get into some programming. As you can see, I got my hoodie on today, so we know we about to get into some business. All right, but first things first. All right, what programming language are we going to be talking about? We're going to be talking about Python. Isaiah, shout out to you. DYB's Lifestyle, shout out to you guys. Yeah, this is going to be live, so a lot of the stuff, I just opened up a new machine for us too. So brand new machine. Everything we're going to be doing is going to be directly from scratch. Actually, I'm going to share my screen here. All right, but we are going to be learning Python. Now, first things first, why is Python important? Before we even get into all that stuff, right? First, the reason why Python is such an easy programming language to learn is because Python, well, it's not easy, but it is actually easy programming language to learn. And that's why it's one of the first ones that a lot of people should actually consider learning, right? It's an easy programming language to learn, and it has widespread applications in most companies out there that you're going to deal with. Most companies that you're going to see, they use some variant of Python, right? And even if you want to talk about Linux, you know, if you guys want to, that's another asset that I think a lot of you guys getting into tech should get underneath your books, because even Linux, Python, they go hand in hand. And if you really think about it, almost everything runs on Linux, right? Your Mac computers, your YouTube application that we're watching this video on right now, the backbone that's helping the streaming application function, where I can get this information out to you guys, all of that shit's run on Linux. So that's another important skill that I think that we're also probably going to go ahead and start diving into on this channel too. I think that's very important. But as Python has widespread applications over many different companies, everyone uses it. The syntax is incredibly simple. It's incredibly straightforward. Matter of fact, learning Python and learning the syntax, because it's so simple and straightforward, it gives you a very good base to start understanding other programming languages, right? Because Python is more of a back-end programming language. Once you start getting to understand the simple syntax and how all of that stuff is formulated, for those of you guys who don't know what syntax is, don't worry about that. I'll let you guys know. I'll explain what syntax is in a second. Essentially, it's in a nutshell, it's basically how to communicate with the program that you're using, the language you're using to communicate with that particular programming that you're using. So if I want to talk to a computer, right, what language am I going to use to talk to it, right? And that's the syntax. It's like writing a book. Okay, so if I'm going to read a book from left to right, and the book is going to have words that are going to line up to make a story, well, the letters have to line up properly to form the proper word with the proper commas and pronunciations and punctuations for us to properly understand what the author of the book is trying to say. Is the exact same thing with syntax and when it comes to programming. All right, it's basically understanding the language rules of the particular program that you're using. So the reason why Python is incredibly important, I think, in my book, when you're getting started into programming, the reason why I think it's a very important language to learn first, right? Because there's a shit ton of programming language out there. Let's just be real, there's a shit ton of them. But the reason why I think Python is the best one to learn first is because of the simple syntax, and because if you can understand a little bit how you can structure a lot of those variables, and even just start creating you a general base off of it. Like we're gonna start here too. We're gonna have a really good example of it, but it'll start giving you a base foundation of how to understand other languages that are out there as well, like C hash, C plus plus, right? I mean, it'll actually even make it easier to understand those applications because Python is used in more of like back end data science kind of work, right? So if you want to gather data on certain things, right? Like let's say, hey, if I want to automate a certain task, or I want to predict a certain outcome, or if I want to, calculate certain things, right? And analyze it, even put like graphs together, right? I want to understand Python. It's also great for banking too, as well. That C++, if you guys are working with stuff with in the banking industry, which software developers that work in those industries, they're also six-figure earning and above. So very, very high demand. But you start going and start calculating algorithms for fucking trading applications for so when you start getting to that level, bro, come on, that's where the sweet money is at. But it all starts with Python. Even stuff with like artificial intelligence too, as well, right? When you start getting into like certain Python packages like SciPy, Pandas, right? When you're using it for like advanced computing and you're doing stuff with there's a lot of just general purpose data science type stuff. Like realistically, Python, I mean, I can go on forever about how much it is you need to learn Python, but there's really a lot. EM says, sounds good. Shonen Spirit says, what IDE are you going to use? We're going to break all that stuff down right now. So, first things first, right? What is an IDE, right? Because we got to understand this. Shonen is ahead of the game right now, right? So, we got to talk about it. An IDE is basically like, you remember I said earlier that a syntax is the words to how you're going to write the language, right? It's the words, right? If you want to put the words and the proper pronunciations and put punctuations together, right? The IDE is the way you're gonna be able to write it, right? So it's a compiler, a debugger. It's a text editor. It's all these different things wrapped up into one, where you can then basically make it easier for developers or budding developers like we're going to be at the by the end of this stream here today, to help us basically write code a lot easier. Okay, so there are multiple different types of IDEs out there, right? You can use they're really light ones. Like the one we're going to use today is going to be Visual Studio Code, so we're going to download it from scratch and we're going to go from there. But there are multiple ones out there. Visual Studio is basically, I call it more like a lightweight type of IDE, and not like super lightweight. There's the IDLE, that's a different kind of thing. But it's kind of lightweight where it doesn't go too heavy, right? If you want to go talk about like a heavier application, there's stuff like Android Studios that run on most Windows. Hold up one second. It could run off most Windows computers, right? So you can go ahead and download Android Studio, and Android Studio can basically be it's a little bit more in depth, but you can do a lot more with it. So IDE acts as that text editor, the compiler, the debugger, all of that shit all at once. Okay, so we're gonna go ahead and download one right now, and the one we're gonna use is gonna be Visual Studio Code. Okay, so I already got the web page pulled up. Let me share my screen here. All right. Hang on. So for those of you guys that are newbies, right? What you're gonna do when you try to download this stuff, let's say you guys are following along right now, step by step, right? So you guys are following along when you go in. So this is where you'd go in to download Python. So there's a couple different steps you got to take to do this, right? We can start with the IDE first. We can start with the Python application. It really doesn't matter, but we want to get this stuff downloaded. So you go to this, this web URL over here, and then you go over to downloads, and it's always going to hover on the new releases, and you're going to click on download, this little download for Windows if you have a Windows machine. Okay, if you have and any other machine like Linux, they also have the different downloads too as well. And then we're gonna go over here to the other tag over here to download Visual Studio Code. Okay, this is gonna be the IDE that we're gonna be using for today to build out our application. All right, so you're gonna hit the download and you're gonna get something like this. All right, so you're gonna accept the agreement, guys. We are starting from scratch. Okay, so if you are, please let me know if y'all can see this. Can y'all see this and at least follow along? Let me know if y'all can see this. Some of y'all, if y'all got computers or laptops, which you just let me know right now. So I'm gonna hit next. I really don't want to have it create a menu folder, so I'm gonna skip that. Do I want it to create a desktop icon? Sure, but you don't have to. I tend to like the desktop icons. Again, this is a brand new desktop that I'm using, so it's not permanent. You guys notice it's completely different from the one I use for my other YouTube account. So this is a fresh desktop, completely used for this purpose right over here to teach you guys how to be coders. Okay, so going back to it, we're gonna then go to install. So it's gonna start installing right now, and we're gonna watch that go. But while that's going in, you guys have any questions in the chat, just let me know too as well. If you guys are stuck on anything right now, we're doing this live, so let me know what you're stuck on. Type it out in the chat. We'll go from there. Okay. But yeah, there are multiple. Listen. Don't. There are a lot. Listen, it's just like everything in software world, there are just a lot of different types of applications. So do not get discouraged if you see this kind of IDE or this kind, or you read something in a forum somewhere where it's telling you, hey, well, what if this works, or just sometimes it's easier just going with the basics. You just keep that in mind, all right? Because it can really get confusing. So it's done downloading. So we're gonna go ahead and click finished, and it's gonna launch our Visual Studio Code. Okay, so this is what it's gonna look like in just a second when it pops up. Boom. All right, so we got it right. So listen, before we even get into it, we got the Visual Studio Code, we got the IDE that we're going to use, but there's still a couple things missing. Okay, so first things first, for those of you guys who have the Windows, we have to now go ahead and install Python. So remember, this was the Python downloads. You download that. So we have to get the Python installed. Otherwise, it's not going to function properly when we run this application. So let's go ahead and hit install now. It's going to initialize. Yes. Right. This is, guys, this is all from scratch. Okay. We're doing this start from finish. Um, Michael Ajay says we're gonna start off printing "Hello World." That's basically the classic. But no, my shit's probably gonna be a little bit more devious. We can print whatever the fuck we want. That's a crazy thing with coding, right? You could do whatever the fuck you want. Okay, and today we're gonna make a little quiz application. But yeah, "Hello World" is pretty much like the first code in every type of application like you use, right? It's what do we call it? You could even use it with like HTML if you're doing like front end stuff, right? With websites, hello world, right? Even I think if you guys have ever used like a WordPress website, you got the hello world, right? That's what that is. That's that whole thing. It's just, I don't know what else to tell you. While this is installing, I'm gonna answer this phone call that I got. Shonen Spirit B says, "Thank goodness, Hello World was always corny for me." I mean, it's one of those simple things, though. Everyone does it, right? It's kind of that like, here's your intro to programming. Hello, say hi. It's like that too when when you start messing up. Like, so if you want to like, we'll get to it. I don't want to overcomplicate it because it can get real fucking crazy. But like, yeah, it's used everywhere, man. Just ping, right? Hello, I'm here. This is me starting, right? And Mega says zoom in a bit. Okay, I'm gonna zoom in. Realistically, we just need to see what's going on here. If you guys can see, so it's just installing, right? So listen, if this was a pre-recorded video, then I could easily skip this part, right? But it's obviously not. So yeah, we gotta do all of this shit live, unfortunately, right? Who knows? I can cut up this live and we can make it a pre-recorded video, do a shorter version, right? I don't know. I mean, we can do whatever. We can do whatever. All right, there it is. Change machine from Python. So it was successful. Okay, no, close. All right, so that's all good and dandy. We got that all set up. But there's one more thing that we need to do, and it's got to go. We got to go to our store. So for those of you guys who've got a Microsoft store, you got to go to your Microsoft store because you got to have like an interpreter, okay? Because we have all that stuff downloaded, but we still need a way for visual code to interpret Python. So just because we downloaded it and installed the file, there's still another step that we need to go. So you go to your store. For those of you guys who got Windows, and you go in here and you type in Python, and you usually go with the newest version. So the newest one that's out there right now is the 3.10 version. And then there it is right over here. You're definitely, guys, do not skip this step because you're gonna have a whole bunch of problems over here. Okay, like when you go to run your code, okay, you're gonna have issues running it because it's gonna say you're missing an interpreter. So please, you go to your store. It's different if you have an Apple. It's different if you're running Linux. But if you're following me on Microsoft right now, definitely make sure that you are installing this from your store. So when it hit get, and it's gonna start as a download, and we're gonna let it do its thing. Right. So again, this is live. So shout out to you, man. I appreciate y'all coming from the other channel too, by the way, right? Listen, for y'all that like the educational shit, right? Because people be like, "Oh, y'all, you just drama, bro." You just, I appreciate you showing out, bro. This is respect. EM says, "No, leave the long video. I want to show this to my brother." Hey, shout out to him, man. That show it to your brother. We'll start getting some because I want we'll start getting more in depth with this stuff, man. And the thing is, since it's still a young channel, I generally don't know the route I want to go. As you can tell, I have so many interests and hobbies and things I like to get involved in. So it's like, where's this gonna go? I don't know, right? We could talk about politics, we could talk about tech, we could, I don't know, right? But eventually, as we grow, you guys can help shape that process. All right, boom, we're done. It's all installed. So now we can start messing with our IDE. Okay. So first things first, it's like once you get here, you can choose what you want. I actually kind of like this kind of look. This is my kind of look right here. Okay. And you can all this stuff, it's up to you. So if you have other computers or other stuff set up, you can do that. But for us, we don't really we're starting from scratch, so we can kind of skip that. Okay. So we're gonna get a new file. Okay, now I promised that there was only, actually, let me switch this view to this guy. This is even better. Okay, so I promised that that last install was the last thing we got to do, but there's one more install and extension that we have. Okay, and we're gonna go to new file. Well, hang on. Okay, there's a couple things. So first things first, whenever you want to start a project using Python, using Visual Studio, you have to open a file. Okay, you always have to open a file. So I can go new file, and I can do, so since we're gonna make a little quiz, I can do basic bitch quiz dot py. So it's gonna create that file for me. There it is. Now there's one more thing. There's one more thing. Yep, it's actually gonna prompt you right here, right? So there's a bunch of extensions that we're gonna do for us, all right? Because first things first, right? We got our little thing going on, but we still have to open. We got to add the folder, and then we got to add the file that we're gonna be coding on. But we also need to add some recommendations, because if you notice over here, when we go ahead and try to run our code, we don't have our terminal loaded up, right? We don't have the run button to load up down here with our terminal. So we got to go down here to the store, right? So when we go, we got to go back before we even get into that, right? So we then get, there are a couple things. We get this guy, and a lot of this other stuff you can get the, yeah, so that's gonna install that for us too. The rest of the other stuff you can kind of skip out, you don't really need, but these are the two main applications you're gonna need to be able to start running your code. So, and documents, I thought I opened it already. Yeah, so we'll just, all right, so it's already, that was the recommendation, so it's already doing what we wanted it to do anyways. All right, so we'll give it some time. I thought I opened that folder already. Oh, there it is, right over there. All right, I was gonna say, bro, I thought I swear I had it open already. Oh, no, I can't find it. No, that's the extensions. I'll be Hold up. We still gotta do the interpreter. So we already did that. Why is it not opening that folder? All right, fuck it. We'll just do it. We'll just do a new file. Hold up. My bad, y'all. I be getting like lost sometimes. All right, let's do. I thought I made it already. I had one already pre-done, but maybe it didn't. All right, who cares? All the basics just to not get it confused. Yes, create the file. Okay. I'm gonna load up our terminal. Where did I open it at? Hang on, guys. Give me 1 second. Shonen says, what was the other extension? Hang on, my bad. I might be going too fast. Give me 1 second. I'm trying to find something. So there are 2 extensions that you're gonna need, okay? And the pilots over here, and you're gonna need did you download the interpreter, Shonen? Let me know if you have the interpreter downloaded. Let me know if I'm going too fast too. Since it's live, we can actually slow it down. My bad. I'm like rushing through. But you're gonna need the interpreter downloaded, and you can only get that from the Windows Store. Okay, so you guys remember we went to the Windows Store, Microsoft Store. That might be. So you put in. It's THON. Am I spelling it right? There it is. All right. So you want to make sure that you're on the newest version. And that's a 3.10. That right there. So I already have this installed. So if you guys have a Windows machine, again, just get it installed from here. And I know because with Python, there's a couple of different things that you got to do. Stop texting me, dude. All right. All right. And you get here. So remember, there's your little terminal down here because you need the terminal and you need you need access to be able to run your code, right? Because that's what this is. You have like the basics of this. So all right, so you got that. Well, there's one more thing we're missing here. Hang on one second, folks. There's one more thing we're missing here. Um, I gotta pull that up in just a second. Because I did mention to you guys that. So okay, I knew I was forgetting to explain something. So remember when I said earlier in the stream that you had the IDLEs, you got the IDEs, right? These different things that you can use as like compilers, these different things you can use. So an IDLE shell, this is where it is. So not necessarily where you would necessarily write your code in, because typically basically people would do it right here in where the what do you call it? The where you be able to write it here. But like listen, you can also, if you want to type and edit some stuff within the IDLD2 as well. So that's another place that you guys can use, right? So if you guys wanted to do, let's see if it'll work. Let's see if I want to do a print. So if I want to do print, right? If I wanted to print something like that, I can use this IDLE shell, right? And for those of you guys that don't know what a print function is, I know we're using the IDLE. Let me just explain this real quick and how to use it, and then we'll start going into the other stuff. Um, but like, what is a print function? What the hell did I just do? So for those of you guys who are like, yo, what, chill, yo, dude, chill out the fuck, chill the fuck out. What the fuck is that, right? So a print function is basically a text or a string that you want displayed whenever you're writing your code, right? So it's not like it's basically the value you want assigned. So like for instance, I can say print, comma, uh I love the Green Bay Packers, right? And guess what? It prints it. Now, for those of you guys who are keen, and so those of you guys who are understanding of like, yo, Duke, I'm reading line by line right now, and something looks different. Yeah, you just print the same thing, but something else just came up. Like, why didn't you use the same commas? Can you guys still see the screen? Let me know if you guys can still see it. So can you guys, so like it'd be like, hey, what, wait, these commas, Duke, wait a minute, bro. These commas are mad different, yo. Like what the hell? Like, why do they look why do they look mad different? Right? So if I do hello, right? Oh shit, where did my PowerShell go? All right, so my bad. I thought I was part. Oh, my bad. But if I print hello, so nothing's gonna run here because I don't have my little run thing over here, so I have to get that running. But so for what I was getting at, so what is the difference between this, right, and this right here? Because you guys notice that I use the same different quotation marks, but it's still printed out the same function, right? It's still printed out the same thing that I wanted it to print. So, like, why is that? Well, the reason why is they both mean the same thing. when you're coding with this exact type of using this type of syntax, it doesn't matter whether it's this type of quotation mark or this type of quotation mark that you use. It doesn't really matter. What really matters is that whatever you start off with, you typically would end with, essentially. So that's all that is. So if I start out with this, I have to end with this type of quotation mark because I have to keep it consistent. But that's essentially what the print function is, right? It allows you to print whatever uh Shonen says it's too small in the video. I don't know how to make this bigger. Um can I make this bigger? Hang on. I gotta lean in here. Uh let's see if it let me configure the side. We're gonna move into the okay. I don't know if I can. Oh, here we go. Here we go. How about that? How about that? How about that? Let me know what that looks like. Whoa, God, hang on, real freaking quick, people. My bad. Looks like. How much of that did you get? How much of that did you guys get? All right. Let's. But did you guys get the gist of? Oh my God, my bad, y'all. I just kind of went in. So basically, what I was saying for a while, I was just basically saying that the capitalization matters because like a capital P means something completely different than a lower P, and I don't know where a lot of you guys' level are, even starting off with this. Um, but realistically, yeah, you got to make so when I put that P in with no characters, no syntax, no nothing. You guys saw the error I got, right? I got a little invalid error because that's not a complete code. So you have to make sure that when you're just like when we're talking about what do you call it, when we're going back to a my bad, when we're going back to that original example I was using about the languages, if you're writing a book, is the exact same thing. You got to make sure that you're using the right language and you're doing the right book. Okay, so let me see. Where's my no? So actually, I want to do new file. I'm gonna do new basics py new basics, and I'm actually going to yeah, let's do that. Okay, and then so one thing that you guys also got to understand, um when you're doing anything, to let the visual code know that you're working okay, so how to explain this compiler here can talk to a lot of different programs. Okay, so what you guys notice here, what did I just do here? Can you guys see this? Let me know what you guys can see. What I saw, what I see here is a .py. Now, why did I put a .py right over there, right? So if you guys can understand, whatever visual IDE that you're working with, you always have to, because it works with different types of programming languages. Okay, so Python is not the other one. But how do you tell this that you're going to start coding in Python, right? When you create that file, like you guys just watched me do, right, you have to do a .py. How do you know that this IDE is going to start responding to my code, right? The code that I'm going to write, because you see this Python icon over here. It's letting visual code know that, hey, anything that you see right now that you see me typing in, right? It's all going to be done in Python. So let me see if it does it. All right. So a couple things just happened here. I don't want to do it in this view because it might just make it smaller. All right, guys, let me know if you can, does that look small to you, or do I need to make it bigger? That's the one thing I'm trying to figure out right now. Hold up. Let me know if what this looks like to you guys. So basically, I just told my Visual Studio that I am now coding in Python. Okay. So I said the first ever code ever, right? And it says, "Hey mama." Okay, it's different from Hello World. It's "Hey mama." So for those of you guys who've already downloaded it, let me backtrack to where I was just working at. Okay, so I've just told my code editor here that I'm going to be working in Python. All right, so I have a .py file that I just created, and now I'm ready to code. Right. So what I just did here is I just printed my first code in Python. And because I did my necessary downloads, you guys noticed that I am not able to interact and run my code, right? So when I click run, you notice what pops up in this terminal over here. So this is my file right here where the file is located. Your terminal is where a lot of the outputs for what you're going to be putting in here is going to pop out in. All right, that's the simplest way I can explain it, right? It's where a lot of your you can also kind of code in here, and I'll show you how to do that too. So you can actually reverse code in here to, like, get the answers you need as soon as you structure your code up here. So that you can go back and forth, but we can actually do that on a different video. But this one is actually, if you notice, is going to get you guys just set up, started with it, and then just going back and forth. And again, this is live, so everything we're doing, we got to wait for everything to load. We got to wait for things to happen. But let me figure out this view real quick to see if I can get this thing to be larger. Let me know if you guys can see it. Okay, I'm gonna keep messing with this. I just where was this side at? View appearance, zoom in. Uh, All right. Well, how's that? How's that? Let me know. I'm just gonna keep going here. But here we go. Our first code just got printed down here. Okay, so boom, bang, bing. We've got action, people. So now we got it. I'm assuming you guys got all that stuff loaded, okay? But if you guys can't, we're gonna keep moving on because you can follow along in the other videos. So we just got done understanding what our print function is, right? It's gonna be able to enable us to display whatever we want on that particular text, right? So let's say this: if we're gonna use it, we're gonna create our game here. So I'm gonna do okay, print. Uh, and don't worry about this stuff that you guys see down here. What this visual code is designed to do is designed to basically help you guys code faster. So all this stuff is designed to help you guys code pretty fast. Now, remember what I said in my other rule, right? Whenever you're gonna do a print function, for it to properly execute, okay, you have to have these quotation marks here. It doesn't matter in which order or wherever, however you put it in, it just has to have that quotation. Otherwise, watch this. Watch this. Look, watch this. If I just say print, hey mama, right? Because you guys gotta understand, right? That's in you'll get an error. Watch when I try to run this code, right? Right, watch. Oh shit. That did not do what I wanted to do. Oh yeah, it did. All right, so here it is. So when you see this right here, file, see user, virtual user, that's us, right? Print, hey mama, wait a minute, something's wrong, syntax error, invalid syntax. Okay, now here's the thing: when you guys start getting into programming, you're gonna start running into this error a lot. So just get used to it. Okay, what that basically means is, remember that book we were talking about earlier? It means that there's something within the way you are writing your instructions, right, that it just didn't pick up. Something's not right. There's a malfunction in the act, right? So the way I wrote this is saying, hey, I don't know what you're trying to say. Like, I don't, this is an invalid language for me, right? So you're gonna get invalid syntax error. And sometimes it'll even let you know what it is that you're missing. Perhaps you forgot a comma. All right. So this is why it's important to have like a nice little visual, IDE to help you out. See, now this you can't do, right? I can't do this. This will also get me that same error. I can't do that. So it's got to be, oh shit, my bad. It's got to be that. And then watch when I run the code. All right. See what happens. Boom. It says, hey, I can run that, no problem. Here's what you're trying to say. You're trying to say, hey mama, here it is. Here it is again, right? Okay, great. But we're not here to say hey mama. Okay, we're here to build our first little application. Okay, so we're gonna make a little quiz game. Okay, that's like the easiest, most basic kind of projects that anyone can work on. All right, now here's the thing: the purpose for a lot of these videos that we're going to start doing on this channel is for you to start getting kind of like a head start into IT if you're going to start thinking about getting into the IT world. The reason being is that the IT world is that up and coming next big thing that's really, listen, bro, like it's really going to need a lot of people, and it's lucrative enough for a lot of guys out there to really live out the lives the way they really want to live it out. So one of the most important skills when you're getting into IT that you have to learn, that a lot of IT technicians and even guys who spent years in IT that refuse to learn right now, is a little bit of programming. Programming is one of those skills that's going to tip you above the edge. And whenever you're going out there to submit your job application or whatever it is you got to do, you're going to run into that. When if you are able to do a little bit of programming, a little bit of code, right, that's going to put you above the edge. So building small projects like this on Python that we're going to do, I suggest getting a nice little account, maybe something on GitHub, where you can kind of like track a lot of your little projects, because hell, even some of the projects we're going to be working on in this video, you can use on your own account once you create it, right? And we could probably do another video on that. But that's stuff that helps with your resume, right? Saying, hey, I can make web scrapers, right? That's going to be the next project. We'll probably make a calculator first. Okay, we could probably do a calculator, and then we'll do a web scraper, and then we'll start getting to more advanced level stuff. But you start putting that out there, right? And future employers can see that and say, hey, this person actually has a working project. Okay, so we would invest in him over an applicant that doesn't possess the same thing. So okay, so we're not here to just go over the IDEs or anything like that. So we're here to make our first little application. Okay, so we're going to make our first quiz game. Now here's the thing, right? We got to make sure, remember, you can do either or. All right, just make sure you're consistent. So I like to do the double quotations. So I'm going to say welcome to my game of doom. Ha 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 ha. All right. So I just printed that. Boom. So what does that say? So all right, cool. I guess welcome to my game of doom. You've got it. So that's going to be start of our game, right? So now we got that going. But here's the thing, right? We need some kind of variable. We need some kind of variable to kind of prompt the user to the next thing, right? Because most quizzes, you gotta let. So think about it. When you're programming, when you're building apps as a developer, you have to also get into the mindset of the user, the end user. All right. In IT, they call these guys the end user. And the end user is the person that's going to be on the other side of the application using and working it. So in this case, the person who's going to be playing our quiz game. So once we say, hey, welcome to my game of doom, right? Okay. Now we have to add some kind of prompt to say, okay, what's next? All right. So what is a likely prompt that we're going to add? Well, but to even add a prompt, we also have to do what's called a variable. Now, what's a variable? A variable can basically be anything in it's basically anything that you want. You can program it to be what it is. So in this case, my variable is going to be playing, and I would do something like equals, not equals, uh input, ooh, quotation mark. So what did I just do? I just created basically a prompt. Okay, so what this basically is telling the user to do is basically saying, hey, all right, now playing is going to be the variable, and whatever I input here. So what? So like, it's hard to explain. So basically, what's going to end up happening is, because I've created this function, right now I have to what I have to do is basically say, well, guess what? Are you ready to play, right? So are you ready to play this game? And it has to be like automatic. It has to be snapback, right? Because think about it. If you're coming in and you're about to play a game, right? Say, hey, welcome to the game, right? And if there's no other prompt to get you to move on to the next level, right? Well, then how are you going to move on to the next level? You're going to need some kind of, help, right? So you're going to need a prompt. So I like to put space between these things too as well. You guys can do that. Like literally, a lot of times it's up to you if you want to. It makes your code loop cleaner. So for me, I like to put spaces. You don't have to. So we got ourselves our input function here. To basically prompt them, right? So I said, welcome to my game of doom. So what is the next thing that is basically going to be the logical step, right? Well, now I have to say, all right, are you ready to get that ass spanked? Right? And I'm gonna leave a little space here after that, so that way it looks cleaner when I run it down here. So let's run what we got so far, right? So it says Oh, boom. Welcome to my game of doom, right? There's my prompt. Are you ready to get that? Oh, I misspelled ass, but are you ready to get that ass spanked? Okay. Now, what did I just do? I just prompted you. So now so you guys are understanding, like you can do whatever you want when you're developing stuff, right? So I just created a prompt using this variable, and I'm calling it playing. And playing is essentially what's called a string. Okay, as we get into this, I'm not gonna explain any values, integers, and strings, and all that stuff, list and ders, and all that stuff like that. As we get into it, we'll do it. Tonight's just to get into the basic, because this would turn out to be like a 4-hour stream. But yes, we just created a function, a variable, pretty much a prompt using a variable. Okay, so that's what we did. So now if I put, well, yes, nothing happens, right? Because I don't have anything saying, hey, well, what are my conditionals, right? So if and I'm actually giving you guys the answer, right? It's an if statement, right? Because I need some kind of, I just need some kind of condition, right? Because if you're saying, are you ready to get that ass spanked? Well, if I say yes, there's nothing. So as a programmer, I need to put something in there saying, okay, what if this person says yes, they're ready to play? Well, I need to add a function that basically gets them going, right? But then y'all are saying, well, what if they say no, Duke? Right? What if they say no? Well, first of all, let's do what they say if they say yes, right? So if they say yes, we're gonna run the next line of our code. We're gonna say print, all right, bitch, let's get started. All right. So I'm gonna put a little exclamation mark. I'm gonna ooh, and guys, don't worry. There are ways, like, even here's another thing I can explain with this. If you're writing your codes, you can take up multiple lines, by the way, to write the same code, right? There are ways you can set it up to do that. There are different functions that you can use, right, with the n and hash and whatnot. That's a different, that'd be a different live stream. There's so many things that you can do with this. But yeah, so don't be surprised. But hey, if you do this though, you notice how it's telling you, hey, I got an error here because this is making sense. Okay, so we got to make sure our our uh our our syntax is on point. Okay, the language of our program. Okay, so now if we decide to go run the code again, we go down here, welcome to my game of doom, you ready to get that ass spanked, right? So I'm going to say yes, I'm ready, right? And now it's going to go to the next line of my code, which is saying, all right, bitch, let's get started. You ready to play this game? Let's get started. Okay. So, but wait a minute. You're gonna be saying, well, Duke, what if this person says no, right? What if the pro or the end user on my application says no, I don't want to play this game? Well, we also, as developers, because you guys are following along with me here, we're also gonna figure out a way to program that in. Okay. So we're gonna do that by doing a couple functions, and we want to make sure that we put it above what we're actually coding. Again, however much space you use is depending on you. Python will run the code top to bottom. So whatever code you put on above here, Python is going to run that before anything below it. So just think about that. That's how it kind of works. And guys, one thing I'm also going to do for this channel, I'm also going to take a poll to see where we are level wise of this, and then we can start going in. But again, the space wise, it really doesn't matter. So if you're watching this and you feel like, well, oh my god, how do I know how many spaces I got to put between this? It does not matter. Okay. So now, wait a minute now. Wait a minute now. So we have to now figure out, what if they say no? Well, we need to put a function in there, right? So we need to do what's called a if function, right? And the if function is basically like it's a statement of if something is not, then it equals something else. So it's basically it's taking away what isn't true and only focusing on what's true. All right. So that's what's called the int function in Python. I don't know if I explained that. I don't know if I'll explain that correctly, but I'm going to show you guys in a second, right? So I'm going to do something like this, okay? And then in Python, it's going to be an if statement. So I'm going to go if playing, and the reason why we're using playing, because playing is a variable that we just created, okay? Now, for those of you guys who are wondering, okay, well, wait a minute, how the how the hell did we how the hell did we do that? Like, how the hell did we just create this variable? Creating a variable is actually very easy. Let me show you something, okay? I'm gonna show you how to do this. One cool trick in Python too, by the way, is when you put the hashtag before anything, it makes it a comment, okay? So this comment wouldn't show up on the actual code that you're trying to run. But so it's just going to be sitting there in the back end. I mean, other people do it differently, but here we're gonna create a variable right now. So one of the easiest variable I can create is x equals y, right? No, oh shit. No. All right. So remember I told you there's a difference between a capital letter and a lowercase letter. They mean completely different things in Python, okay? I'll explain that in just a second. But let's say, oh god damn you, bitch. All right, no. All right. So let's say x equals y. Right there, right? Right here, I just created a variable. I just created a variable. So that means whatever has y in it equals the value of x, right? And it works the same way with words, right? So instead of x, I could say something like time equals um uh we could do um A plus B. No, not break. B. So that right there in itself, it's a variable. But like this doesn't work though, right? Because we're missing something, right? We're missing a couple things to make it whole. So and it'll always trip you up because remember, you cannot print strings, right? Without letting Python know you're printing strings. So this is where it's always going to get you slipped up. So now I just create a variable. Okay. Now this variable, whenever whatever code I put below this, right? And it includes time, and I'm accounting for that. Python is always going to read time as being A plus B. Okay, so just keep that in mind. So then when I go back up here, and for those of you guys are asking, well, okay, if we're talking about playing, right? Playing is our variable now. So playing is what represents the game. It represents the input. Okay, so you guys get it. That's how you create a variable. I know that part was that's the part that got me when I started learning Python. Was like, wait, I can make anything a variable. Yes, you can, as long as it's within logic of what you're trying to write. Yes, that's the shit that'll just trip a lot of people up. So now I'm creating an if function, right? Because we already know that if we say yes to our game, it's going to run the next level of code saying, all right, let's get started, right? But what if the person says no? How do I tell Python to tell the person to quit the game? So I'm going to say, if playing, I'm going to say no. And I'm going to do that by doing exclamation mark equals. Don't forget your quotation marks. Yes. And then I'm also forgetting one thing because whenever we're doing an if function, we always have to end it with a semicolon. Okay. Whenever you do an if function, hold up. My bad. For those of you guys who are watching this and you don't understand, I just got done from another stream, so your boy's a little parched. All right, so just help me out. All right. So you always have to end it with a semicolon. Okay. So we just said, hey, if this variable says no, right? If the answer to this variable is no, meaning if it doesn't equal yes, semicolon, then you have to quit. I'm telling Python to quit the program. So this is what I just said. Okay. I said, hey, if playing does not equal the, and this is how you say it in Python, exclamation mark and the equal sign. Okay. This is how you say it in Python. If it does not equal yes, okay, then you quit the game. So let's go ahead and run our code. All right. Welcome to my game of doom. Are you ready to get that ass spanked? I'm going to say no. All right. It worked. It quit. It quit. Right. So what if I can pay, I can say, okay, bye. Okay, bye. All right. We'll run that again. Ah. All right. So now, or I could say, yeah, my game is getting real aggressive over here. My God, guys. All right. So what did I just do? So I just created if function. Okay. So that's what I just created. So I just said, hey, if this Dre says Dre says, when are you gonna talk about the vaccine? That's gonna come up in the next half. Give me about, trust me, after I create this first function, I'm gonna show you how easy it is, okay? And you guys can copy the exact script. I think I'm gonna post a text file of this, and then if you guys create a GitHub account, you can actually use this as part of your interview portfolio to actually help you get hired. Okay, this right here, even putting something together like as simple as this will put you ahead of the curve over everything else. But that's going to get into the other half of our stream here. Don't worry, we're going to get right into it, but it is a crazy ass story, okay? Can you guys still see it? EM says try logging and go into your desktop, right click and change the scale size. I can do it right here with control. Hang on. Oh no, with the screen. Oh shit. I think I went too far, guys. Hang on 1 second. I zoomed in way too far, people. Hold up. I don't know what hang on. I just did something to my screen here and it looks horrible. I'm zoomed too far in right now. Hang on 1 second, people. What did I just do to my view, bro? Hang on 1 second, people. I think I just fucked up my view. Hold up. I gotta take this magnifier off. But how did I do this though? Let me know if y'all can still see it. I'm trying. I have another screen over here, so I can manipulate this screen no problem. Like I can manipulate this screen no problem. But then this one over here got fucked up for some reason. Um, what comment about the image? Let me know what comment about the image you mean. I'm gonna continue because I want to go ahead and get into the content so we can go ahead and start talking about the vaccine stuff. All right. So now what did I just do? Right. So what I basically did here was I created um a quit function, right? So I said if this does not equal the answer yes, right? Well, then you quit the game, right? And I can quit the game with a message, and that message could be, fuck off, loser. You're not ready for this game, right? So if I wanted to go ahead and run this code, let's go down here to our terminal, right? So ready, you ready for to get this ass spank? I'm gonna say no, right? Because I say no, guess what? Get out, right? But what if I wanted to do it again? All right, so ready to get that spank? Yes. All right, so it's like, all right, bitch, let's get started, right? So in a nutshell, that's kind of how that works. Okay, so now that we have the function to, but we're actually missing something right now because actually, fuck, hold up, I'm missing something hella different right now. Hang on. So remember what I told y'all about whenever you use functions like this, right? You always gotta follow it up with a semicolon, right? It's the same over here too as well. The same rules apply. Okay, so I'm gonna insert my semicolon right here along with my parentheses. So we get that to load up properly. Okay. Hold up. Did that come out right? Hold on. Let me see because it's gotta be hang on 1 second. So if I run that, I say yes. Ah no, never mind. It's on the next page. I'm tripping. I'm tripping hard. Never mind. I had it right. I had it right. So no, remind me later. All right, so we got that going. So now let's actually start creating our game. Okay, so we got it. All right, bud, let's get started. Now what are we gonna do next? All right, so we're gonna start our game. So now the best way to do it with Python is basically saying what the answer, you're starting off with what the answer is, right? Okay, so how do I explain it? If I wanted to write a question in the form of a game in Python, I do it like this, right? So I do something like answer equals input, right? So that's what I'm doing. I'm putting an answer input function to go ahead and prompt the question. Okay, so I still got to follow the same rules. I got to put my quotations together, right, along with my little brackets here. And what is the first question we're gonna write here? We can put name the type of drugs distributed by the CIA in the 80s. Exclamation mark. Actually, question mark space exclamation mark, right? Boom. All right. So that's my first question of the day. Okay. Uh what is the name, or name the type of drugs distributed, or drug distributed by the CIA in the 80s. So if I run my code now, right? Are you ready to get that ass spanked? Yes. So it's gonna prompt me to go ahead and answer the first question. And I'm like, all right, well, is it meth? Oh, I didn't get anything. What the hell happened? Well, because I didn't program what an answer function. I didn't program what the answer would be. So what would be the best way to program an answer for it? Well, the best way to program an answer for it is to go ahead and ding 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 use the same if function. So now what I'm going to do here is I'm going to say, well, if answer equals, and this is how you do equals in Python, equals crack, right? And then what are we forgetting? Can you guys tell me what we're forgetting? You guys got to work with me too, okay? We're forgetting our semicolon, right? So what did we just tell Python? We just told Python that if the answer equals crack, then what we want you to do is print the answer for them. So is it crack? I think it was crack cocaine that the CIA distributed in the 80s. Correct me if I'm wrong. Maybe it might be a different drug. Um, but I'm gonna do print correct, or I could say that's that's correct. All right. So I can do print that's correct. So what I just told Python to do, that if the answer is crack, right? So if I put crack in here, then that means whatever, if it matches this value, if it matches this value right over here, then Python is going to let you know that you had the right answer. So let's go ahead and run this code real quick. Okay, welcome to my game of doom. You ready to get ass spanked? Yes, I'm ready to get my ass spanked. What name the type of drug distributed by the CIA in the 80s? I'm gonna say crack. Damn. Oh no, it was wrong. Hang on. I'm supposed to get it right. Let's try it again. Yes. Okay. So now it spit out the value that's correct. Okay. So now, okay, well, what if they got the answer wrong, right? So how do we let Python let the end user know that the answer is wrong? Well, if also simultaneously comes with what's called the else statement. Okay, there, when you're writing Python, there's always an if and an else statement. So whenever you're gonna, those two things go hand in hand. Okay, so like, don't ever forget that those two things always go hand in hand. So if you're going to do an if statement, if this equals this, then else equals that. Okay, so now we're going to write our else statement. Now you guys will be like, well, Duke, what's an else statement, right? Well, else statement is basically this. We basically do we'll do else. Sorry, I got the wrong one. Else, and then we'll do print that's wrong. All right. So we'll say what we just told Python to do, that if the answer is crack. Oh, hang on. So yeah, that's the thing with Python. You got to make sure that your shit lines up, okay? Because if it doesn't line up, your code's not going to run properly. So what we just told Python to do is that we say if the answer doesn't equal anything else that says crack, you're going to tell them that that is the wrong. Bro, I cannot spell today, dog. That is the wrong answer. So let's go ahead and run this code real quick. Right. I know we're gonna get to the other stuff in just a second, bro. But like we gotta get to the educational stuff set first. All right. So we're gonna say yes. We're gonna say crack was distributed, right? Or no, I'm supposed to get it wrong. So what if I spelt it wrong, right? What if I call it like that? So now it's gonna spit out the next level of our code. That's wrong. Bro, my grammar is off. It's supposed to say that's the wrong. That's the wrong answer, loser. But at least you guys can get the idea of how that works, right? So let me look at the chat real quick. Yo, what is going on? Can we get? Let me get. I'm sorry, guys. Let me get rid of these spam comments. My bad. My bad. Shonen says, "Can you show us how to use GitHub at some point?" Yeah, yeah, guys. Right now, I'm just teaching you guys the basics because I did promise you guys that we're gonna build an application on this stream today, and that's exactly what we're gonna do. So we're almost done. But yes, there are other things that come with this, bro. Like this is shit is so robust, it's not even funny, bro. So we're gonna get to it, but that'll probably be for later streams because as you guys can already see, we're already an hour and 20 minutes into it, and I don't want to spend 3 hours building an app. Okay, so we're just gonna kind of speed through this. Right now we're just getting through the initial grift of it, right? But then what we're gonna do is I'm gonna show you guys how to actually make this really, really easy, right? We're gonna make the rest of our questions or at least the questions and the answers, how to build this. So we're gonna make about like 4 or 5 questions, and I'll show you guys how to score all of that. But we're just gonna do the first piece in our game of doom right now, and then we're gonna add on. All right. So yes, I'll show you guys GitHub at some point. But yeah, I also think it's important that you guys have that, or at least know how to use it. Yeah, yeah. Um. So now we've got okay. I just realized I'm not trying to figure out where we're at. So now we've got where we need to be, right? Everything's all good and gravy. How do I start adding more questions to my quiz? Because we can already tell that our code works, right? Our code works. The code that we read for this quiz works. Okay, so how can I start adding more questions? Well, I'm going to show you guys a really simple way to freaking do it. All right, so what I'm going to actually do is I'm going to copy all of this over here. I'm going to just copy it, go a couple space down. I'm going to paste it right here. I'm going to go a couple space down. I'm going to paste it right here. I'm going to go a couple space down. And I'm going to paste it right here. All right. So I just made it super easy. So now we got our first question, right? So all we have to do, right, is we just go in and change the question. That's it, right? So we can do our next question. We can fill it is we can say who was the most wanted terrorist. I'm also kind of hot too, guys, so just bear with me. All right, I just came from my other stream, so if I can't spell Al Qaeda, uh, don't get mad at me. All right, who is the most wanted Al Qaeda? How do you spell Al Qaeda? Or no, it's Al Qaeda. Also, Osama was Al Qaeda, right? He was in the Taliban. It's Al Qaeda. So I'm gonna do AE. Y'all can correct me later. All right, that's That's how I know how to spell Al Qaeda. Who is the most wanted Al Qaeda terrorist? And I can change this answer to Osama. All right. So then that way it says if it's not Osama in here, then it's the wrong answer. So let me go to my other question. Oh, I gotta get rid of the space here. All right, I'm gonna go to my other question right now. I'm gonna change this one up. I'm gonna say, um, name the company involved with Facebook Facebook's largest data breach scandal. And I can do Cambridge and Litica. I don't know if I don't know if I spelled that right. Um and then for our last question, we can do we can do the next topic of the show, right? We can do what research institute was responsible for creating a new strain of COVID. And I can change my answer to be Boston. Oh, Boston University. That's correct. So there it is, right there. I just got in and edited all of my code to basically change the question. Okay, so if we were to run this, we'll say yes. We can say it was crack. That's correct. Who is the most wanted? Alcataceres. I can say Osama. Uh-oh. Okay. Name the company involved with Facebook's largest data breach scandal. I can say Cambridge Analytica. Spell that right? Cambridge Analytica. I don't know. Yeah, that's how you spell it. All right, cool, cool, cool. So I say, oh no, oh no. So now what just happened? What just happened? So we have to hold up. First of all, I gotta bring this back. Um, bring that back. Clean that up a little bit. Hang on, guys. But what just happened here, right? How the hell? Oh, I knew I got this wrong, but like, oh wait, no, never mind. How the hell? I thought I got this right, right? Why did it tell me that I got the wrong answer, right? I thought it was right, right? So then we go back to our code. We got to go back and say, well, what the fuck did I put in that was wrong? Because if I go back to that question, Osama, right? It's spelled right, right? So what the hell? Why could that be wrong? Well, the one thing that if you guys were keen, you would notice that, hey, wait a minute, the cases are different. I just put in this is an uppercase letter, and this right here is a lowercase letter. So that must mean that this is case sensitive. So then how can I make sure then that I can make sure that when my users using this, they don't run into case sensitive issues. Well, there's a really simple way that Python has that you can solve this, and that is the dot upper function or the dot lower function, and it looks like this. So it's like dot upper, right? Oh shit, hang on. So dot upper, right? That's what it's called. So this is the upper function. So what it does is whatever string or whatever answer that you put in there, Python would automatically convert that answer to either all uppercase letters or all lowercase letters if we do the dot lower function. Okay. So I can put this either directly right next to this particular answer, right? And then let's say I want to run my code, right? I say, yes, I want to get my ass spanked. I'm going to say crack. Yes, I got that right. I can say, so if I go with the same answer, Osama. Okay, so it's doing this. So there's something wrong with what I have set up here, and we'll go over that in just a second. But if you notice, it's saying, "All right, that's correct." So it doesn't know what to do. It's trying to figure it out. But overall, that's basically what you would do here. But typically, where I like to put this like right here, so that way there's no confusion. So then when I run the same thing, I can say yes. Struggle boss. Try to figure out why it's doing that. I think it's because I have this right up here. Um, so then I gotta go over here. Oh, hang on. So that's what the dot lower function would do. So it would make sure that all that, no matter what, if I put uppercase, lowercase, it's still gonna read out the same answer. Okay. So now the one thing that our little game is missing, because it won't be a game if we don't score it, right? So we have to figure out a way to let Python know that it needs to score our answers. Okay. So right at the very top, because like I said before, the way Python works is that literally it's top down. So it will start reading your code top top down. Okay. So what you got to do is we got to go up here right before we play it, right before we get our code started. We got to put one important function, okay? And that function is going to be, actually I'm going to put it right here. It's going to be, actually I'm going to do it right here. Score equals, nope, equals 0. So what this basically means, it's letting Python know that we're going to be scoring these answers. Okay, so now how do we let Python know that we're going to get all that stuff right? Well, what we'll end up doing is underneath all of these right over here. So like this question over here, what I'm going to do I'm going to let Python know that it needs to score this. I'm going to say score plus plus sorry plus equals 1. Okay, so I'm gonna copy this and I'm gonna paste that underneath every answer. So this is why it's important to do spacing when you're coding. Space management is key. Okay, so definitely hold up. Oh shit. Why is it reading that error? Oh, that's right. My bad, y'all. I'm sorry. Hang on. You don't forget. Okay, your indentations, because it was telling me something was wrong. And I'm like, why is my code wrong? Why are you giving me this error? Your indentations matter. So when you put the score in here, make sure you let it know. Okay. Another see, this is the thing. There's so much to explain. There's so you have to make sure this indentation is there. So the easiest way you can do it is you can hit the tab button or you can space it. It doesn't really matter how much space you do. Most developers do up to like 4 to 5 spaces. I just say use a tab button is what I use, is what I learned to use anyway. So you guys are gonna learn the same way. I typically just use a tab button. It gets me where I need to get to. And whenever you see like a little error where it's highlighting your code like that, pay attention to it because it's letting you know there's something wrong with the way you have this code. So let's finish up the rest here, and we go into the next subject. So then we're gonna go back down here. We're gonna paste our code. We're gonna indent that. We're gonna come down here. We're gonna post our code. And we're gonna make sure we hit that tab key so we make sure everything's right. Okay. And then what we did have to do is let's try it out. Okay. So let's run this code, see what it does. You say yes. And I'm not really gonna care too much about the answers. I just want to get through it. We could say who is the most Osama. We could say, oh wait, how did I get oh fuck. I got Osama's, god damn it. Okay. I could say name the company involved with Facebook largest data breach scandal. Cambridge Analytica. I'm pretty sure I spelled that wrong. Yeah, it's saying there's something wrong here. What did I do for that? Cambridge Analytica. No, that's supposed to be right. That's supposed to be right. Okay, whatever. So whatever. I thought that was supposed to be right. Okay, so there's definitely a function that we're missing in here, but that's not the point. No, we want that's correct. How do we know? How can we figure out if because I thought we were scoring it right. So how can we figure out if at the end of our quiz here that we can get the right scoring on how we did, right? So for that we need another code, right? So we're gonna do one away from all of these here, and we're gonna do print, and we'll print. Okay, so what do we want them to know? We're gonna say congrats, you scored, and put that in quotation. And I'm gonna do plus string str parentheses, and I'm going to put score because score guys is the value that we're tracking up here. Okay. So we want that same value that we're tracking up here. And in all of the answers down here, we want this little string right here to go ahead to be the sum of score. Now, why do we have to put this little string there, right? Why is this there? Because realistically in Python, how can you, if I want to say congratulations, congrats, you scored a 5, right? Well, how can I get Python to say that, right? I needed to say that. Well, I can't say, well, listen, I can't because you can't really add that sentence, right? I can't say congrats plus a number, right? I can't do that because you can't really add a number to a word in a computer, right? It just doesn't make any sense, especially when it comes down to programming. You can't do that. So you need a way to help the computer understand what it is you're trying to say. Okay. And what I'm trying to say is, hey, at the end of this game, calculate all of the scores and make sure that you put the total plus the string here and you add it together so it makes sense. So then I can say, hey, string your score, and then I want to say, okay, plus, because when you're doing a series in Python, you're always gonna do it as like you're gonna do the plus. As long as it's within the little brackets here, you're good. So I'm gonna say plus. Um, congrats, you scored, this would be the number value. So let's say you did 5 out of 5 or 4 out of 4 questions, right? Congrats. This would be that number. Sorry about that. This would be that number variable right here, and then over here we're gonna say you scored 5 questions right. All right. So I'm gonna have that at the end of my code to let us know how many we got out of 5. So let's go ahead and run it. Yes. Crack. Yes. Yes. Um, what is it? Boston University. Okay. So, oh my God. Holy shit. I fucking suck, right? Congrats. You scored 2 questions right. So you guys see that, right? So why does this look weird? This looks weird because I don't have enough spacing right here. So I have to have spacing for that to look cleaner. But at least you guys get the hint of how that shit of how that shit works. What would you say? He says your errors are coming from line 23 and line 40, or like 23 and 30. So 23 and 30. You must be behind. No. This was what do you call it? This was the past, because we had this guy right here taking up space. And when you have that, it breaks apart, because remember I told you guys before, when you have an if statement, it's always followed up with the else statement. Okay. So, but here's the thing, we have this score tracker over here that's blocking the string, right? So we are blocking the code. So you have to make sure that your indentations are on point. Again, however you want to use it, most programmers do up to 4 or 5 spacings. It just depends on how you want to clean up your coding. But usually it's easier, especially when you start working as part of a team, to make sure you kind of have your shit cleaned up. Okay. It's just good practice for it. So what we're gonna do is you guys, as long as you guys understand that, the next couple of things that we're gonna start doing. He says now. He said the input question is indented. Where? Which one? Give me what line? In line 23 and 30. I don't see an error on this one. What error are you seeing? Oh wait, you might be onto something. Wait, no, because it actually follows the same flow. So, oh wait, hang on. You're right. You're right. It's line 16. It's line 16. Hang on. Or maybe not. I think line 16 was fine. Hang on. Line 16 was fine. Because that breaks it apart. That was right. No, I think it's fine, dude. Um, yeah, hold up. Y'all, hold up. Hey, listen, bro. I'm kind of lit right now, so y'all gotta bear with me, okay? Because I think this looks right. Because here, if I listen, one way to know that your code is running is if you don't see any like lines or any error or anything like that, because there are clear indications that will let you know that your code's off. So if I have the wrong syntax, my Visual Studio is gonna let me know that. Okay, it says, hey, you have the right syntax, even if I have like a mismatch, right? It's still going to prove that error. So when you see stuff like this, it'll let you know that you have an error within your code, but you can also run in the terminal. So, guys, you said 23 and 30 should not be indented. 23 and 30. I think they should. Oh, no, you're right. 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 Nope, you're right. You got to watch out for these things. It'll sneak up on you. You're absolutely right. You're right. He's right, or she's right. Yeah, those two need to be indented, and that's another thing when you're working with codes too. Like we have these errors here too. But yeah, you want to make sure you have the right indentation. And he's saying it's not a syntax error, so yes, it's not going to pick it up. He's right. These are one of the easy slips that you'll find with Visual Studio Pro 2. Boston University. Time for the next episode of our platform. We're gonna go ahead and head on over to Boston University. But before we do that, before I get that loaded up, guys, do you guys kind of get the idea of this, right? You guys kind of get the idea. Congratulations, guys. You just programmed your first application. You're on your way to becoming a developer. There you go. Okay. So we're gonna keep working up on this, but now we actually have to get to the political side of what we need to get onto. So I'm gonna go ahead and close this out. And we're going to get into this, people, because what's going on in the news is something that I think we absolutely should cover. Hang on. I got to pull up this article, guys. Bear with me. I got to pull up this article. So what's ended up happening right now is Boston University. There was a controversy. Basically, they just brought out a research study, or published a study, I should say, that has to do with the C19 virus. Okay, guys. Now, why is this important? The C19 virus is basically um, what kicked off the pandemic, right? And essentially, this pandemic has been, running rampant. It's actually been used as an excuse to basically, institute a lot of things, right? Whether control, whether new policies, right? But the main thing is the vaccines, right? If you want to talk about one of the biggest scandals regarding this, the amount of companies or pharmaceutical companies that have made a huge killing off of these vaccines and all the forms of supplemental medications that they sold off of this shit. Well, now it then came out recently that a lot of these guys, the Boston University, They sponsored a research that basically combined two separate strains of the the COVID, or I don't want to say COVID, my bad, the illness, right? So we don't get taken down here, to engineer it with the 80% kill rate. So they published a study, right? And that's what's going about in town right now. And a lot of people have mixed opinions on that. And obviously, us at this channel, we also have set mixed opinions too as well, right? And I'm gonna read through this little article here because when this came out, a lot of people were kind of pissed off, rightfully so, because we just went through a goddamn pandemic. Okay, families died, people were under lockdown, no one was allowed to really move anywhere, right? Shit was really freaking tight. Okay, people lost their jobs, family members died, freedoms restricted. So there was a lot of pain going on, right? So the pandemic initially was not a good thing. But then after we get through all of that, we now come to find out that these same jokers, right? And to be fair, I'm not blaming Boston University, but like the company that keeps giving these researchers their funding, right? These same blokes just keep coming out of nowhere. And what have they done this time? They decided, well, hey, you know what we're also gonna do? What if we take the original COVID strain that came out, the original C19 strain, right? And we merge it with an Omicron variant, right? What would happen if we do these things together? Boom. Well, shit, we got a virus that now has 8% effective kill rate. Okay. Now, for those of you guys who are, just like me, the one question that come to mind is, well, why are we engineering viruses that are more lethal than the bullshit that we came through? Now, I've actually brought up this argument before amongst my other buddies that I had these sort of conversations with, and one of them he kind of leans on the liberal side. He's very very liberal, and he says, well, listen, don't you think we study vaccines all the time, Duke? Not vaccines. We study viruses all the time, Duke. The smallpox, SARS, right? You know how many different strain of COVID there is. You know how many different strains of this stuff. Okay, we studied this stuff, Duke. Okay, it's natural for scientists to make experiments with these different kind of illness because we want to be able to come ahead and with the vaccines to defeat this stuff, right? And when you look at that argument, one can say, all right, that's a pretty legitimate argument. I understand. I see where they're trying to go with that. Um, but then, another argument tends to then come into play. Okay. And that argument would be, okay, well, why are we genetically messing with viruses and making them stronger just to develop immunity with them, right? Because I mean, wouldn't you say that would kind of fuck with the antibiotics that we have out there already, which are already limited? I mean, we can only have so much, right, before a lot of these toxins or these viruses start building up solid immunities. before we can even have. Listen, like we can't be making things stronger to build up a cure that we're already building up a tolerance to. It just doesn't work. We're effectively kneecapping ourselves. So do you think it's right for us to start messing with these things and start making them, stronger and more potent? Like, what would be the cost for that, right? And then some of you guys are like, oh, the other answer, basically us studying this stuff, is a lot more legitimate, right? We have to stay above the science. And then I say, okay, well, I'll give you that. But then if you are standing by the science so much, why then is the science being working under illegal means? And I'm gonna explain what I mean by in just a second, right? By illegal means, I mean that these research studies into these viruses was actually banned by Western countries. Most Western countries banned the research of these bioweapons, is what I'm going to call them. Okay. It's a strong word. I get it, but it has to be said. We banned this stuff in the West, right? But that wasn't good enough for a lot of people. So the certain group of people, the hidden hand, the Bill Gates, because he's part of the shit that's funding this crap, right? He's making a ton of money on this vaccine shit. Um, they decided, well, fuck it. We need a guy that's gonna help fight for our movement to get this stuff going. So they got this guy named Fauci. Fauci comes up there. He's got the PhD. He's got all the badges and shit. And then Fauci comes up and says, "Well, listen, I'm listen to me. I'm the authority. Okay, I'm the doctor. All right. And I say that we are not funding testing with these viruses, okay, because it's illegal." Come to find out, they're in China because it's legal there, right? They're also in Ukraine, right? Because it's also legal there, right? They were able to sneak some deals. I talked to Biden. I think Biden, this kid, knows a little bit more about that whole scenario. I'm sure they'll let you know what's happening there. But China, particularly Wuhan, and a facility in Ukraine that we moved over to continue to fund and study these projects that were illegal. So let me get this straight. The elements of the American government, or at least the American science department of the government, decided to go ahead with a funding and research of viruses that are dangerous to not only our health, but are deciding to engineer these things to be 10 times stronger. And they're doing it outside of the law of the land that they came from, the United States, right? And other countries of the West. So they illegally developed a virus that fucked a lot of people over. Okay, fine. And now they're doing the exact same thing now. You got to ask yourself, what is the rush? What is the hustle? We just got done from the pandemic. We got the vaccines. We got so many Moderna. We got Pfizer. We got all these different. We got the boosters. We got Delta. We got Omicron. We got all these different boosters. How much more do we need? Right. That is the absolute question. So now apparently we need a virus, COVID virus, that has an 80% kill rate. When you start seeing bullshit like this, a lot of y'all have to start asking the question, like, what are we doing? Like, what exactly are we doing? What is the goal here? Like, what is the actual goal? Because this is the kind of stuff that people call conspiracy, right? The hidden hand, people making decisions outside of the people, of the government that actually supposed to be, the ones running this shit, right? You guys are going behind the backs of the people to fund dangerous studies that are detriment to the health of the people that you're supposed to help and serve. Like, this don't make any sense, B, unless there's something else at play, right? And what I tell you about most conspiracies, you have to follow the money, people. You gotta follow the money. So this article reads, Boston, have you seen the headlines? Started by British tabloid. Oh, yeah, by British tabloids and picked up by several national media outlets. They claim that the Boston University laboratory created a deadly new strain of COVID with an 80% kill rate. But the allegations are simply not true. According to the Boston University researchers accused of the act, but third party experts who explain what's really going on to WBZ TV. Researchers at Boston University's National Emerging Infectious Disease Laboratory, or NEIDL, have been at work researching COVID-19 since 2020. When they received a sample of the first COVID case recorded in Washington state, they work on a research surrounding the statement, prevention, and how COVID spread. The goal of this 2022 study was to determine why the Omicron variant of the COVID-19 seemed to cause less severe disease, the less severe disease than the virus' original strain, and to figure out what component of the virus deemed its severity. To do so, research compared the original COVID Omicron and a version of the two combined. This is where the missing information about the new strain developed. Wait, and then version of the two combined. But experts say this is standard. I think it was blown completely out of proportion, said Dr. Daniel Kurzweil, or Krozak's, the head of infectious disease at Birmingham and the Women's Hospital. He says he is not affiliated with the Boston University study. The type of experiments that were done are the type essentially done every day with COVID, and there's nothing at all unusual about this. Okay, here's what's going on, and you gotta read what's going on between the text, okay? Because when this blew up, there was a huge media coverage to try to basically twist how this was sounding, because the original definition of it, people were saying, oh shit, like this is gonna have an 80% kill rate, right? And the media arm came out because they had to get out in front of it, right? Think about what they just said, the article we just read, right? The article just read said, have it says a deadly new what do you call it, British tabloid picked up by several national media outlets claimed that a Boston University laboratory created a deadly new strain of COVID kill rate. No, 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 no. This is where the misinformation comes in. Okay, and what you guys got to understand: CBS News is part of the agenda. Just keep that in mind. And here's what the agenda at work. Okay, the fact of the matter is, what this article isn't denying is that there was a study on this done. That's what the article is saying. But the misinformation comes in is that it wasn't Boston University researchers that conducted the research. No, the researchers in Boston University, located in the United States, aren't actively researching on an illegal virus. They just reported on the research done by these guys called the NEIDL. These are the guys that are ones that are messing with the Omicron variant and the original variant to try to figure out which one is more deadly. And they came out to the conclusion that whatever they end up combining, because you see the term, you see the usage they're saying here, right? When the two of them are combined, it's 80% more deadly. So this is the media apparatus at play, because they're trying to downplay this research right now. That's exactly what they're trying to do. They combine these two things, the NEIDL did, and then what they ended up doing was creating a strain that's a lot more deadly. But the misinformation, they're trying to say, hey, because the way they're trying to paint it is saying, hey, this is some kind of misinformation. Okay, that therefore it's not true. They're trying to make it sound like the Boston University isn't doing research on this program, which is true. They're not, but they're making it sound like they're not actually working on this program, period. No, it isn't Boston University. It's these guys. They are actually still messing with these viruses actively as we speak right now. The whole reason we had the breakout in China, Wuhan, was because they were funding an illegal project behind the American people's back in China, and that's how we had the COVID situation that we had going on 2020. So that's what's going on right now. So yes, Boston University is not involved, but these guys are actively involved right now. And you got to ask yourself this question: why are we still messing with this stuff? Well, you got to look at you got to follow the money. I told you guys before, all great conspiracies ends with where it starts and ends with the money. Okay, and when you look at this whole COVID situation, who stand to make a killing? Well, you have to understand that a lot of pharmaceutical companies that created these vaccines, the politicians that invested in these vaccines, right? Lizzie Trust, we talked about her from the last live stream. For those of you guys who came over from the last one, she's actively being told to step down if she hasn't stepped down already because she was caught up in the corruption that had to do with these very same vaccines, right? So a lot of these politicians that are enrolled with these projects, a lot of these pharmaceutical companies that are roped in with developing these vaccines and uh, booster shots and all this stuff, they are actively right now making a killing off the backs of American sickness. And that's where the future is going to head to. I don't know. Listen, they're saying that I won't be surprised if one day all of a sudden there's another strain of COVID that's going to pop out and this one's going to be deadlier than the Omicron. It's going to be dead because y'all know this, right? Y'all notice this. Hold up 1 second. Y'all notice that from the original hype of the COVID, as misinformation started to come out and inconsistency started to happen, a lot of people started to lose faith and trust in the government, right? And we all started to lose, like, what do you call it? We stopped listening. We stopped taking the lockdown seriously. We're going out dealing with family members, right? We stopped caring, right? But then these guys tried to scare us with more variants, right? They said, okay, well, now there's a Delta variant that's coming out, and y'all got to be careful with the Delta variant. The Delta variant is going to get you. That came. Not a lot of people paid attention to it. That's fine. All of a sudden, the Omicron variant. Y'all got to watch out. The Omicron variant is coming. It's going to be a thing. Omicron came and went. People are still living their lives as normal. So now it's gone to the point where we've kind of forgotten about the pandemic. It's almost, we can kind of say, we're putting it behind us, right? I wouldn't be surprised if this vaccine that these bozos are working on right now wouldn't be that next new strain that's going to pack the actual physical punch that is going to get a lot of people scared and towing the line of the government. Do you understand? Can you guys start making the connections of what's going to start happening here? All of a sudden, COVID's a thing of the past, and these guys just Boston University just published a research by these guys over here that are testing and combining two different strains of COVID. And they've made it 80% more powerful. And now the mainstream media, like CBS News, is trying to conflate what we're reading. They're not denying that the experiments are real. They're letting you know, hey, the experiments is real. But you notice how they put at the top of the article, hey, this is misinformation. No, we didn't misinform anything. The fact of the matter is, y'all are still experimenting with these viruses. The only thing that was misinformed is who did the study. And we know it's not Boston University. That's fine, but it doesn't negate the fact that you guys are still doing the study. All I'm saying is I wouldn't be surprised because COVID is now starting to become a thing of the past, right? If this new variant with the 80% kill rate, if this doesn't, I won't be surprised if this somehow makes a resurgence. Maybe not this winter, maybe next winter, maybe next spring, as the war starts to take hold, right? I want y'all to peep something real quick. Peep something real quick, right? Peep something, right? Because we got war, and then the war right now is a war for gas, right? And soon that war is going to start turning a little hot, start getting steamy, a little hot war, right? And what's going to end up happening is countries are going to get desperate because when you have active a war scenario, an active war situation, well, resources tend to they run thin, right? Resources run thin, and when resources run thin, well, citizens within those countries, right, they experience things like inflation, because trade isn't really what it used to be, right? Because there's a freaking war going on, right? And so they probably you start experiencing social unrest, right? People be out in the streets protesting and things like that because society is starting to break apart. What you have to understand is that this whole thing, this war, this whole thing happening, right? What do you think a country is gonna do to its internal citizens once it realizes it has to divert its major resources like oil, food, towards the war efforts, right? Where they're gonna need some way to keep you guys in line because they don't want you guys rioting as citizens, right? So all of a sudden, maybe this new 80% Omicron and Delta or whatever mixed variant comes out, and all of a sudden, it's the main thing that needs to be enforced to keep all you guys indoors by force or by death. Think about it. If this is not going to hit close to home, my UK brothers watching right now, y'all are going through a currency crisis, right? A lot of guys who are going to be in Europe, right? You guys are going to be facing energy crisis, right? What is going to happen, right? The UK, there's protests all going on all over the place, right? Y'all let me know if I'm wrong. You guys are protesting, right? I mean, it's happening here too, but it's happening everywhere. There's protests in France. There's protesting, especially Germany. Everybody's protesting in Germany. So there's protests everywhere. They're protesting the current status quo. They're protesting the current economy. They're protesting how horrible shit is. Well, what would be the easiest way to curb all of that? What if a random variant that's 80% stronger with an 80% horse kick comes out and puts all that shit to rest? Now y'all can't protest no more. Y'all can't complain about how you're losing 5% on your spending power every single year now because your government decided to follow horrible sanction plans. And realistically, we can put an end to all of this at any point in time, but we choose not to because it's much easier to hit the gas pedal and accelerate versus de-escalate, if that makes sense. So there's a lot of there's a lot of things going on right now that I think that throughout this noise that's going on in the world, we got to pay attention to the true distractions. Okay. For those of you that come from the other channel, you guys wonder why I go hard on these red pill guys so much, because realistically, these are the kind of things that I think a lot of men should be watching, should be paying attention to. Not only do like the coding side of things and the programming side of things, moving that aside, just being hyper aware of what's going on in the world around them and how they can maneuver to basically get ahead. And listen, I've been running channels like this for a while. You know, this channel just recently experienced a nice little resurgence, but like it's been around for years. Go back to our oldest video. We've been around for years, all right? Matter of fact, one of the oldest predictions we made on this channel is about to come true within the next few years, right? And that's the Lehman Brothers. Not Lehman Brothers. Deutsche Bank. Deutsche Bank is going to be the next Lehman Brothers. All right. If y'all know what it is, when the economy finally collapse, okay, Deutsche Bank is going to be the it's going to be the biggest catalyst, okay? Because if you guys know what happened with the Lehman Brothers, all right, the Lehman Brothers essentially there were some issues with the assets, okay? Turns out they invested too much in bad goods, okay? Because back then, 2008, these fucking crappy mortgage-backed securities were so good, everyone making so much money. All these banks wanted a piece of that shit, right? A lot of these banks wanted a piece of that shit, and eventually, you know, the ones that had the biggest bag of these toxic mortgage-backed securities, they got hooked because a lot of that was shit, right? So Lehman Brothers got stuck holding the bag, and they couldn't pay out, and they went belly up. Well, this is going to happen with Deutsche Bank, but on a much larger scale, okay? Because Deutsche Bank has been engaging in a trading act that is actually one of the most dangerous form of trading, and that's called derivatives. Okay, if you guys don't know what derivative is basically the most extreme form of speculation. And Deutsche Bank right now is one of the largest holders of toxic backed derivatives. So just keep that in mind. When Deutsche Bank goes under, the entire global economy is done, and that could actually present good buying opportunity for a lot of you guys who are trying to make it to the next level of being wealthy. No, seriously, like real talk. Don't think that because the stock market crashing is the end all be all. No, no, no. For guys like us who are who got cash sitting down. We're nice. We're making good money. I'm not saying everybody's got to be six figures. All right, I don't know where everybody level at, but if you're nice, you're sitting comfortable with your cash, and you're waiting patiently for a good deal to snap up. Well, listen. That's gonna come in a few years because there's gonna be a bunch of assets up for sale. And fire sales like this, discount sales like this happen once a generation, baby. So you do not want to miss it. What do you want to be doing around this time, right? You want to be gathering your liquid assets together. And by liquid, I mean cash, money that you can any asset that you can flip into cash like that, right? Like you can flip it within a dime, right? If I have money sitting in some kind of a money market account that's maybe earning a couple points in interest a year, right? Nothing too crazy. And I got in my portfolio here, where I'm earning a couple in the market, right? Because the stock market, I probably wouldn't trust it a whole lot right now because it's all artificial at this point. I'll probably go into commodities, right? I'll probably do some commodities trading. Start holding some stuff in maybe precious metals, because I know China right now and Russia, they're getting heavy in the precious metals. So if they're going to be using their currency and have their currency be backed by gold and silver, I want to be on that team. Ah, shit, I said it. Fuck, I said it. Nope, 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 nope. I said it. Yes, folks. I'm gonna be on a team which money is backed by real assets. And if you want to tell me that Russia right now and China are buying up all the gold and silver and palladiums and all that different things like that, and they're using that to peg the currencies to, I see that as the future. In the US, listen, with $31 trillion worth of debt, we got to figure out what the fuck we're doing, because if as soon as they make the full on conversion to a asset backed currency, meaning gold and silver, real asset, real tangible asset, it's over for the dollar. Anyone else stuck holding the dollar, you're holding one giant bag of dirt. That's what it is. So we need to get our shit together. So commodities is probably where I'll be looking at. Um, but what was I where was I going with this? Right? When you have the financial collapse that happened, a lot of people lost their assets, man. And Deutsche Bank, Lehman Brothers was the biggest catalyst for the whole thing, because Lehman Brothers proved that a lot of banks aren't too big to fail, right? And that's what it is. Deutsche Bank is on the verge of that same thing. And I did a video about this 2 years ago. 2 years ago, because I saw this coming and I'm seeing it coming. It's gonna happen within the next few years. And I already called it. So y'all heard it here first. For those of you guys are watching, thank you. But it's easy to start seeing predictions like that, right? And start making connections out there. But yes, now don't let some of these guys, when the economy crashes, it's going to be a good time to buy. You just have to make sure you change up your financial strategy. So right now, for you guys, if you're holding debt, it depends on what kind of debt it is. And again, this isn't financial advice, but if you're holding debt, right, first thing I would do is I would analyze what kind of debt it is, right? If it's some kind of secured debt, like a mortgage, oof, depends on when you bought it, right? If you bought at the height of the market, I'd start looking at I don't know, because listen, if you bought the height of the market, man, you're gonna end up owing way more on the house than it's actually worth. A lot of Americans are going to end up being upside down in their houses once this market corrects, because a lot of people, I mean, with this market that just went out, a lot of people are definitely overpaying for their properties right now. And once everything starts to crash and interest rates starts to rise, you're gonna see a lot of people who are realizing that they're paying a shit ton of money for properties that isn't really even worth it anymore. And that's the same shit that happened in 2008. It's gonna happen here once what do you call it? Once Deutsche Bank starts to really show telltale sign of going under. So it's gonna go down. A lot of people get caught off guard, but for people who are paying attention, it's going to be a hell of a fire sale out there. This is why I'm renting. This is why I'm taking care of all my debts right now, right? All my secured debts, like my car, paid off. What do you call it? Credit card, I use that periodically, so you want to keep doing that. That's what you want to do. But all your debts, all these unnecessary debt, now is not the good time to hold unnecessary type of debt. If it's not a credit card that you're using responsibly, right? That's the one thing you want to have, a credit card that you're using responsibly. So you want to make sure you're doing that. But credit card is fine. But any other secured, aside from mortgages, depending on how long you're stuck inside of that, um, get rid of it and stash bread. Okay, get rid of it and stash bread. Buy assets. Okay, or just hold your money until shit becomes available for sale, and you start seeing good deals out there. Listen, one other way, because here's the thing. So when y'all might ask, and I'm thinking about all the different possibilities of questions you guys might ask, and one thing I'll ask myself is, Duke, you're saying stash bread, right? But there's also inflation. So if I just take my money and just stash it and keep it there, aren't I technically losing? Aren't I technically losing money and purchasing power through the power of inflation? Yes, you are. And that's why when you're stashing your bread, part of what you need to also do is also keep it in an interest bearing vehicle, investment vehicle, right? You could try index fund, right? Get a brokerage account, uh, get an index fund, right? And your financial advisor will be able to set you up, because with index funds and in certain vehicles, there's certain ways where, like, if the market goes up, it'll calculate those averages, but if it dips, it'll still keep you at the average of where the market was when it was high, and then it'll keep that average until the market goes up again, and then it will redirect to the higher highs versus the lower lows. Versus if you weren't trading like one of those index and you weren't trading those programs, well, then you won't be able to get that. And like some of these day traders, listen, if the stock goes up 1 minute, then yes, you're making money. But if it goes down, you also lose that money. So there's no way for you to lock in those gains unless you put in like a stop loss or any of those safety measures to make sure that you can go. And then you can go in depth with trading. I used to do day trading for a little bit, but I lost a lot of money doing that. So listen, listen, the main the I would say the main thing I made a shit ton of money on trading was Doge. I wouldn't even cap, bro. Like I made Doge Doge paid a lot of bills. But just and completely by accident too. Like I was just one of those things where I'm like, all right, Elon said so, so why not? I just toss a couple grand in here, see what happens. Why not? Hey, listen, so Dogecoin definitely made a lot, but other than that, day trading is not my thing. I'd rather just go get a broker and like do like a when it goes just long term swings, right? Maybe like for a few months here, I'll be invested in this, and then we move it out. Yeah, there are different ways you can structure your portfolio, but yes, I would keep my money that I'm going to spend with the medium term, is what we'll call it. All right, within the medium term, the money that you're going to spend within that, you definitely want to keep it in some kind of vehicle that at least can hedge against inflation. And no, do not do it in crypto. I know I was just talking about Doge, but the era of crypto and what it used to be, it's not it, bro. Do not get your money out of there. Like, listen, these altcoins and all this shit that's popping up, crypto's it's a I'm not saying it's going away, it's never going away, but it's a fraction of what it used to be, bro. A lot of niggas really bastardized the crypto game. They really did. I'm not saying like everybody, these influencers, these some of these companies, these scammers, bro. Like they really exposed a lot of things that's really wrong with cryptocurrency. Matter of fact, what and I used to be listen, I used to be on that. I used to be on that hype too, right? I used to be on that hype where I'm like, you probably even find videos on this channel where I'm like, yo, crypto's where you need to be, things like that. And I'm still kind of that mindset. But some of the arguments that I used to make before for crypto, I would not make it now, because the more I'm looking at crypto, the more I'm seeing that, listen, bro, they're exactly like a bank, right? They say they're decentralized, but then if it's decentralized, bro, how are these platforms constantly getting not only fucking hacked, but they're getting rug pulled, bro? Like how if it's a truly decentralized platform and any individual can access it, why is it that these platforms, when they go under, everything goes under, right? Because for that to happen, that means there has to be some elements of centralization. So it's not fully decentralized. And on top of that, when you put your crypto and you stake it to get this certain X amount of interest every year, right? isn't that acting in the same way as a normal bank would act in the first place? Like, if you really think about this whole crypto thing, like it actually start to wake you up, bro. 'Cause I didn't realize I popped the red pill on that. Yeah, yeah. Like when I popped the red pill on crypto, bro, like it was a crazy ass awakening, dog. I was just like, wait, because bro, I was real just sitting there trying to think about it. I'm like, wait, because while we still go the staking, right? Okay. Talking about we're on a platform right now. First of all, it's supposed to be decentralized, but then all my money I have to put in US dollar to get their token so I can interact with their platform, and then that way I can get access to their perks. But then if that's the case, okay, fine. But then would that technically still make it a centralized authority? Well, or decentralized authority? Well, no, it's more of a centralized authority because there's somebody who owns these platforms and controls these platforms. And you can say, well, listen, anyone can go in and see the transactions and you can see all these different rates and stuff like that. I get it, yes, right. And it's also open source, so you can go in and mess with the code and whatnot. But here's the thing. Here's the thing. Like, is that the only thing? Just because I can see your transactions, and is that really secure? Like, do I want people really seeing the transactions I'm making, right? As a private citizen, I don't want that. That's like me going to my bank right now and like if I let's say I spent $20 at Taco Bell, right? And I know I'm a horrible guy, right? I decide to do the worst thing in the world and go spend money in Taco Bell, right? And that transaction history is out there. Would I want someone to see me embarrassingly go ahead and know that I'm spending money? But you can say, well, listen, the wallets are encrypted, bro. There's no way you can figure out who that person is and who the wallet belongs to. Then again, I would direct you to CoffeeZilla. CoffeeZilla can track it made it CoffeeZilla made me realize that it's actually easier to find who owns what crypto wallet than I thought, right? Like especially when it came to these influencers, right? Because the way he was able to track which wallet went to what based off of the kind of transactions that they made, I was just like, yeah, bro. If somebody really wanted to put the work in these open ledgers, they can find out some serious information. So I don't know, bro. I just I don't know. Visit Daily says definitely not crypto. He says, were you using an exchange or trust wallet, MetaMask? I was using all of them because I had Trust Wallet when I was working with Binance because I had a bunch of Binance tokens. I still have a bunch of Binance tokens just sitting there. A lot of stuff with BNB, man. I'm not doing that with. But then after that, I had MetaMask with my BNB too as well. So, but MetaMask is, it's one of those things where you can like, it's like you can hold as many tokens as you want. I had a little bit of ETH in MetaMask too as well. What else? I had a lot of BNB in MetaMask. Um, what else do I got? Yeah, well, that one's kind of swag. Yeah, I bought a. Yeah, I bought a couple, but like, try like you tend to start using a lot of these different, and then some of these exchange like what do you call it? One was a 9 inch or something like that. A bunch of these decentralized exchange or DEX platforms. Yeah, like it's crazy. Um, Micah says crypto will return to what it was a currency used by hackers, crimes. Okay, I saw that crypto will return to what it was, a currency used by hackers, crime syndicates, and other secretive groups. Not even anymore, dude, because a lot of unless you go into the privacy coins. The privacy coins are the ones that are going to be the one of choice for hackers and a lot of these guys, right? Like is it DAO? Is it the die? What's the other guys? Give me some examples of some privacy coins here. And privacy coins are different. than the regular bitcoins, right? Because bitcoins, it's so easy to track that governments can find out which wallets that are which. Okay, so privacy coins are a little, they work a little bit differently. They make it harder for authorities to catch on who's making that transactions. And some of them are, I pulled it, Monero is one of them. Matter of fact, Monero was the one that one guy used when he was on a run from the government. Y'all remember him, the guy that made the McAfee, John McAfee, the guy that make the McAfee, John McAfee. I'm my tired ass, bro. I'm tired. But like John McAfee, how he got around spending the rest of his billions when he was on a run was using a privacy coin called Monero. So that was his coin of choice. So if you want to make sure that you don't want to get caught, I would say use a privacy coin. And Dash is another one because it's harder for governments to track that. Tonk the Gunner says Orchard is one and Zcash. We'll do it. But and visit right exchange, you don't own your tokens when you're on the exchange. That which makes it not a it doesn't make it decentralized then. It makes it a centralized entity, which doesn't make any sense when it comes to crypto, which it's wild to me if anything else. But Monero, yeah, that's why, because like Bitcoin can be tracked, bro. Bitcoin can be tracked, Litecoin, all these different coins can be tracked. But here's the thing: do I think that they're gonna go away? No, I'm still gonna have a portion of my portfolio in crypto, like Bitcoin and all these different things, right? I still think that they have an investment value, because otherwise, I don't think companies like Fidelity and Vanguard would be getting into these and listing them off as investable assets if it wasn't something that's going to be of the future. So don't get me twisted. It's still definitely going to be part of my portfolio. It's just going to be something that it's not something I'm going to, just like I went all in, like, okay, with Doge, I didn't like, it wasn't like I went all in, but it was the most money I'd ever spent on a whim trading currencies, like trading at all period, right? Like like literally, it was like as soon as I saw the tweet, it was just like, oh shit, Elon must know something. And I literally dumped a shit. I would have like, listen, if you called me on the right day, I would have never dumped as much cash on any type. You tell me, hey, we buying a we buying a new mattress. I wouldn't spend the money. We buying a new couch. I won't spend the money, right? But when Elon said, hey, listen, buy Doge, I said, hey, you know what? Maybe he's onto something, and it definitely helped. But would I trust that same process investing wise for what do you call it, for a lot of these different tokens? And no, 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 no. Matter of fact, even I was sitting there, bro, on my phone just watching my Robinhood account, just like, what is going on, bro? And the moment I saw it, dude, and it's an addicting thing, because I'm glad and when I pulled out when I did, whoo, boy, bro, I call it the clean getaway. Smooth, boy. I felt like a smooth criminal on that play, boy. And then uh Doge never made it again. So sucks to whoever's still stuck in there. Good luck. But I do need to get some Monero. I don't own any privacy coins. I'm gonna let you know that right now. I don't have that as part of my anything. I don't even I don't, but I should probably start thinking about it. Because privacy is kind of a thing of the past now. So Micah says dash hashings are unpredictable, which is why the software isn't good at tracking it. Yeah, crypto's the future. I agree with you. I agree with you. I literally just said that. Visit. I just said that because I just said Fidelity. I said Fidelity and Vanguard, which is two of the biggest financial firms out there right now. Vanguard owns half of the world. Um, I mentioned that those companies are listing crypto as investable asset, and it was so slick the way they did it. Because y'all remember the year where we had the FOMO, right? Y'all remember the year where we had the FOMO, or not FOMO, the FUD. I guess it was a little fear of missing out, right? But when we had the FUD and everyone started panic selling, and Bitcoin literally dipped massively, right? Do you know who you do realize who was responsible for all that fear, uncertainty, and doubt, right? You do it was a lot of these big financial institutions. They were responsible for putting out a lot of that fear, anxiety, or uncertainty and doubt, a lot of those FUD in the markets to get a lot of retail investors to panic sell. Because what ended up happening is they realized, especially with this whole Robinhood thing, when it took off as it did, they realized that a lot of these retail investors, which is the average guy, right? They were highly leveraged. Okay, everyone was highly leveraged because everyone was trading on margin accounts. Okay, margin account basically meaning you can leverage 4 to 5 times what you actually have in your account, right? On some platforms, and that's what essentially happened. And when they realized this, then they started, putting out a lot of fear, uncertainty into the market about crypto, right? And here's the thing: the reason why they did that, because a lot of people were highly leveraged. I mean, a lot of people, if crypto went down, they would owe a lot of firms money, right? Because everybody was going. I mean, Bitcoin was at 60,000. Bitcoin was people thought it was on its way to 100,000 at that point. It's gonna get there. It will, right? But not just yet. That's why I would say pay attention when the economy goes down, because there might be some cryptos up for discounts. Okay, you always buy the dip. Um, but what was I what was I what was I saying, right? But when all that shit was happening, what ended up happening was a lot of these corporations, as people were panic selling because they were highly leveraged and they need to sell what they can to pay back the amount that they leveraged to buy the stock in the first place, or buy the crypto in the first place, they started panic selling. But guess who was panic buying on the other end? These companies like Vanguard and Fidelity. Matter of fact, they bought a lot of what people panic sold at such a massive discount. They were listing a lot of these stuff as investable assets while everyone was panicking, and while they were simultaneously putting out negative news saying crypto was going to crash. And now a lot of these companies own majority of the, like, literally own majority of like coins. And these things are like, bro, you got to understand how these corporations use the media to pretty much move money around and funnel things around. It's really fucking crazy. But Visit said Bitcoin's going to a million, maybe. I think it's gonna go to 100,000 though. That's for sure, and I'm definitely gonna buy in, like, for sure. Like, I'm doing it. I'd buy in the Bitcoin. I'd buy in the Bitcoin, Litecoin. I can get that as a discount. I can get some Ethereum at a discount. Like, I'm gonna get the major ones at a discount, bro. Especially once it starts tanking, I'll get all the major ones at a discount. Why not? See, one thing you guys gotta understand is a lot of people, when they talk about when they talk about crashes, right? They always want you guys to be scared. The people who are scared are the old baby boomers, and nothing against baby boomers, but a lot of you guys are heavily invested in the market. And these baby boomers who are heavily invested in the market, they, how do I say this? A lot of them, they were privileged for assets, right? So a lot of their assets, you see when you see the stock market goes up, their retirement accounts, their pensions, some of them, right? The companies that manages a lot of the funds for them, they run off the Nasdaq, they run off the Dow, they run off all these big stock market indexes. Okay, so when you see the stock market going up and you see people clapping, those are that generation. It's not your generation, okay? Because the stock market is never going to reflect us. It's not going to reflect our economy. It's not going to reflect us right now. It's going to reflect the generations prior who were sitting pretty before we got here, and the people before that, right? So that's how it is. But when it crashes for them, they panic. For us, it's an opportunity because we're starting from the basement. See, a lot of us, we're starting from the basement, right? So we got to work our way to the top, and that's what we're gonna do. And when the crash comes, we want that. It's especially because we've had many crashes here and there, right? We have a crash here, recession here, recession here, but none of those crashes come near to the Great Depression level, beyond Great Depression level crashes that we're about to have, because that's where new millionaires are made. That's where new opportunities to make money is made. Okay, so you definitely, if you're in a position where you're not a high value millionaire, right, but you do have the means to start setting things up and putting some money on stack or on like on hand, this would be the perfect time to start lying and waiting, like just lying down and waiting and seeing what opportunities is willing to pop up that you could snatch. Okay, and then this would be the best time for you all to do it. So do not panic if you're in that boat. Okay, and even if you are in that boat where your assets are tanking in the economy, you buy the dip too. Average it out, right? The law of averages. If it goes up, you enjoy your profits. If it goes down, you buy the dip, and then you average out. The playing the stock game isn't hard. It really isn't. Everyone's trying to maximize your gains. It's like I don't even worry about that. When it goes up, great, lock in my position. When it goes down, great, I buy it, get it at a discount. Helps my average every single time. Just watch it, because on the average, the stock market's always going to go up. It's going to keep going up. It's just you can experience massive crashes, but it's going to keep going up like that. So always buy the dip, and you will be all right. Okay. And that's also, for those of you guys who, let's say you're completely broke. All right. Like, you don't have any money, you don't have anything. Well, first things first, stay away from, a lot of these flashy YouTube, guys that tell you that, I'm gonna make you rich, and all you gotta do is just follow this program, X, Y, and Z. Don't pay attention to that. This is the high time for you guys to be practical, and you have to think, you have to think pragmatic. You have to be pragmatic about your decisions that you make. Okay, you don't have time to be invested in these coaching programs or consulting units or whatever the fuck it is. It's time for you to hunker down, get you a nice skill that's in an industry that can weather the upcoming storm. Okay, whether you get you a skill in energy, whether you get you a skill in information security, in IT, you get you a skill in even healthcare, whatever it is, whatever industry is going to stand the test of the shit storm that's about to befold the Western countries right now. You go ahead and start studying up on those skills, and then start looking for job opportunities. The sooner, the better, because once the economy hits, everyone goes by the last in, first out. You know what that means? Meaning, if you're the last one to get into a company, you're the first one they gonna fire. All right, and there's a lot of companies firing and what do you call it, dismissing people right now because they're downsizing. Recessions is always time for people to downsize. So if you've been at your job and you've been at your job for a year plus, all right, and you thought about quitting, okay, really think about it, okay, because it's easier to keep an employee that's been there for a while, uh so you have a higher chance of holding on to your job. But versus if you go to a new job, since you're a new guy, they probably won't have, unless you're like a top performer, they probably won't have any issues firing you, and now you're out in the job market, no job, and the economy is tanking. So you want to basically, this is the time frame where we need to start building up our securities, okay? Especially as men, we shoring up our bets, hedging against inflation, and building up, fortifying our defenses. That's what we got to start doing. A lot of us needs to start doing that. That's what y'all ask. Why do I go hard against these red pill guys on my other channel? There's a reason why I go hard, because a lot of them are not getting the proper message. Some of them are not even here, right? They'll see my other channel and they'll say, "Oh, well, all I see here is you just talking about other YouTube creators." It's like, no, but that's the way I get y'all attention, because y'all boys are focused on the wrong things. Y'all need to start getting some skills or something. Because, like, listen, you think it's easy to clown these guys? It's easy. Y'all idiots and liars. And once you start growing some brains, you start to see that. But the thing is, what are y'all doing for yourselves to start learning that new skill? So go ahead and spread this out to more of them. Like the video, share the video. All right. Next week we're gonna keep it political, because there's more stuff going on in the news right now. But we're gonna follow up on our programming boot camp. I'm gonna follow up on that next week, and we're gonna try learning a little bit more about Python exploring different types of applications that we can make. And what we're also going to do is this application that we just made, I'm going to make a copy of it and I'm going to post that as a link to a PDF or whatever it is, and you guys can copy that code and then put it in your GitHub. Save it to your files, but the next video we'll probably cover GitHub and how you guys can start setting it up, so that way the applications we build on this channel together, you guys can actually use that as an example to start building your resume. So we're going to accomplish a lot at the same time, not only give you guys real world applications that's going to help you guys be successful, but also doing it while learning. So I appreciate you guys going on this journey with me, and I will catch you guys on the next one. Peace.